Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to our March 21st Board of Commissioners regular meeting. At this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Dennis for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads in a moment of silence, and while we do, let's remember our men and women stationed all over this world defending our freedom so that we can gather here tonight. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Amen. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Appreciate that, sir. At this time, you have the agenda in front of you. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Burleson and a second by Commissioner McIntyre. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we have our number one item on the list is Southside Volunteer Fire Department refinancing. And our presenter is Mr. Jeff Craven.
My name is John Howell. I'm the chairman of the board of Southside Volunteer Fire Department. And I'll be glad to talk to y'all or answer any questions. Did y'all have information from the fire department already in front of you?
We do.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
we do. Any questions?
I don't know if y'all have had a chance to review that or not. Basically, what the fire department is trying to do is our current frontline engine is a 1995 model, and we are rolling trying to purchase a new engine to help lower the insurance rating for the community.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
got a couple questions for
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Howe. I see in the packet, getting here to it, the cost for one of the trucks is $339,000 and change, and then the other one is $338,000. And I see you're refinancing and financing of this new equipment's around $820. Is the balance? What is the balance of that going to be for?
We had to refinance the building with that, and the two trucks are 300 and something thousand, and then the building is the remainder of that.
Roughly $140-some thousand, what I come up with. That about right?
The remainder of that is the building, rolling that in together.
Okay, all right. And the loan that you guys are going with, it is a 20-year loan, I understand?
It is, yeah.
Is that rate fixed for the entire 20-year period?
Yes.
Okay. And the proposals that you sent out, the requests from the banks, did you send the same thing to all the financial institutions?
Yes.
Okay, so they were working off the same numbers,
Right.
same schedule and everything?
Right.
Okay.
We need to have a motion to excuse Commissioner Lawhon from this vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to excuse Mr. Lawhon.
Have a motion, second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner McIntyre. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks, sirs. Any more questions? All right, at this time, I will declare the public hearing open. Is anyone here to speak for the refinancing of Southside Volunteer Fire Department? Anyone here to speak against? All right, at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. What's the pleasure of the board? I have a motion to approve resolution by Commissioner Dennis. Second by Commissioner Louder. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your time.
Item number 2 is a proclamation, Sexual Assault Awareness Month of April 2016, and our presenter, Ms. Dunlap.
Yes, I'm Janice Dunlap, and I'm president of the Board of Directors of Esther House. And on behalf of our whole organization, I want to thank all of the commissioners for giving us a moment on your agenda tonight to officially request that Stanley County proclaim April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I think you all have already received the proclamation, and there are a lot of statistics in it that I won't go back over, but I did want to take just a minute, and I'll be brief, to quote a few more statistics. Every 107 seconds, a person in the United States is sexually assaulted. That's 293,000 people each year. To bring that closer to home, since July 1st, which is the start of Esther House's fiscal year, we have served 26 victims of sexual assault. If that number sounds a little low, you have to consider that 68% of victims never come forward. They never report the crime, which, if you do the math, means that the number of people in our county, men, women, and children, who have experienced a sexual assault of some kind in just the last 9 months would actually be more in the neighborhood of 80 individuals. Further, if you consider that nationwide, fully 98% of offenders never spend a single night in jail, it's not too difficult to understand why most victims don't come forward. The effects of sexual assaults reach far past the assault itself for these victims. They're 6 times more likely to suffer from depression, 3 times more likely to suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, 13 times more likely to abuse alcohol, 26 times more likely to abuse drugs, 4 times more likely to attempt suicide. If you spend any time at all looking over our county and state health department assessments, which I know Peter and Jan have because I sit on the Board of Health with them, it's pretty easy to see that Stanley County has a significant problem with depression and drug abuse and suicide. We at Esther House don't want these victims to suffer in silence or to feel alone. We have a group of experienced professionals and volunteers, some of whom are even survivors of sexual assault themselves, who work tirelessly to help these victims take back their lives. We provide a 24/7 crisis hotline, safe shelter and safety planning, hospital accompaniment and medical advocacy, court and legal advocacy, extensive counseling, empowerment classes, the list goes on and on. We ask that you join us in shining a light on this issue and in showing support for the victims by proclaiming April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month here in Stanley County. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions for Ms. Dunlap?
I appreciate the statistics and the presentation and all you do for the Esther House, and I make a motion that we approve.
All right, I have a motion, Commissioner Shuto, and a second, Commissioner Dennis. Any more questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, ma'am. Next is the award of the county auditing service contract for fiscal year 15-16, and our presenter is Toby Henson. Mr. Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board. I sent out RFPs for our auditing services for fiscal year 15-16. We received 2 bids. One is with Martin Starnes and Associates, who we've been working with, which they're out of Hickory, and the other is from Thompson, Price, Scott, Adams, and Company, which from now on I'll just refer to them as Thompson's. Thompson's is out of Whiteville. They do have 2 other offices that are located in Elizabethtown and Wilmington. And earlier this month, I set up a meeting with Alan Thompson, who is the managing partner of this firm and also works out of the Whiteville office. And we had a fairly lengthy meeting. He had 1 staff with him, and I had one of my staff that was involved in the meeting. And from that meeting, I was able to come up with these comparisons that I think you all have. And excuse me. Starting out, I won't go in detail on all of them unless you all want me to. Number one is the price. Martin Starnes comes in for the 15-16 year, and again, we'll just, for now, just basically look at that one for now. Look at the price for that year. They're $49,000, which is $1,500 less than what our cost was for last year. And also the same price as what we paid in fiscal year 11-12. Thompson's, they proposed a price of $45,950. And as I was talking with him, he was telling me a little bit about their firm. One thing that, well, I didn't see any reason or anywhere that we should actually disqualify them. On their peer review report, which is something that auditors have done every 3 years by a separate firm, their rating was pass. You can get a pass or pass with deficiencies or failed, and they got a pass rating. So again, if they would have got anything other than that, then I would probably ask that we not consider them. But in speaking with them, there was some concerns. One, their business is set up. They do governmental audits and they do income tax preparation. And Martin Starnes does the same thing, but the difference is Martin Starnes, their divisions, they have two separate divisions. If you work on the governmental auditing side, you don't do income tax preparations. You solely focused on governmental audits. Thompson's, you do both. And this time of the year or the off season, once the audits are complete, Martin Starnes goes into training, going through seminars and conferences throughout the state. The partners of the firm are GFOA reviewers, which they review audits from entities not in North Carolina. Not in North Carolina. They're not allowed to, of course, review CAFRs from inside North Carolina. But anyway, they do, in their off time, they're doing a lot of training. Thompson's is doing income taxes. And to me, there was a little bit of concern there. That's going to cause us to have to do a little more training. It's going I estimate at least $1,500 more that we'll probably have to increase our training expense, because we'll be needing to go to some of these things that Martin Starnes normally attends. You know, there's certain things that we normally attend, but there's a lot of some conferences that if we don't get to, we can rely on updates from Martin Starnes. So I would say the difference in price, because of that, you could say you could narrow the gap to about $1,500 considering our increase in training. But again, I met with both firms. Martin Starnes, of course, we've been working with. I did have a phone conversation with the one of the partners there just to confirm that they did quote everything we needed, or to make sure there's something in there that they quoted for us that we didn't need. Anyway, I come up with these comparisons. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Hanson?
It's sort of a question and sort of a statement at the same time. In looking at the comparisons and that one has an employee serves as an audit manager, and another employee serves as lead auditor, the other firm has one person to fill both roles.
Right.
And there is a notation there that may be too much work for one individual in a firm. Where did you get that information from? Another county, one of their references?
Well, I got that from another county for one, and I also got that from Thompson's themselves. The same person with Thompson serves the lead auditor and the audit manager. And someone from another county commented that that was a lot to be put on one person. They felt like it, even though the audit did get done in time and the reports got out in time, they felt like it was a struggle to get it done.
Well, did that county continue or intends to do business still? Or was that something that they thought about and said maybe we need to go in another direction?
She said they would, this 14-15 year was their first year using them. They were with Martin Starnes, who we've been with. I asked her that question, and she said, yes, they will continue with them for this coming year, or for this current year.
Anything else?
So, Toby, I take that as they were satisfied with.
Well, the way she put it, it got done, and it got done on time, but there was a little bit of struggle there. Things didn't go as smooth as what they're normally used to. Again, one of the comments she made was not only the one that serves as the lead auditor and audit manager, not only was that person overworked, but she felt like that some of the others were too.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's worth the difference in the price. We've had very good success with who we've been with. I make a motion we stay with Martin Starnes.
All right, I have a motion that we stay with Martin Starnes, and I have a second by Commissioner Dennis. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I do, according to my notes, there's a statement made that if the fee cannot be negotiated closer to what Thompson has given, that you would recommend a change next year. Is that correct?
Yes. On the RFP, I requested not only the current year, which that's what we're looking at now. That's what the OGC will approve 1 year, but I also asked for 2 more years. And Martin Starnes, those years came in at $50,500. That's what we paid last year. To me, for going from 1 year to the next year, that's a hefty increase, but that's not set in stone. What I'll do is, if you choose to go with Martin Starnes, I will negotiate it for 16-17 to get that down lower, because I think, to me, a 1% increase to me should be the max from 1 year to the next.
All right.
So again, the 16-17 year and the 17-18 year, we can negotiate that when we get there, like a year from now.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Toby.
Appreciate it.
This time you have the consent agendas in front of you. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I have a motion to approve consent agenda and a second by Commissioner Lahan. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. All right. right, at this time, it'd be public comment. Ms. Dunlap, I don't think she wanted to say anything else. She was on here. Mr. Anthony Graves.
Good evening, thank you. I'd like to start off by reading from this weekend's edition of the Stanley News and Press. The lead article was titled, make sure I get this correct here, School Closure Decision Lingers. And that's probably an understatement. If you look at the inside on page 7A in the article, Richie Starnes, who was the author of the article, noted that SCS's economic woes are forecasted to get worse. The NC Department of Instruction recently advised the district that because its enrollment is projected to decline another 88 students, that we would lose an additional $475,000 from the school budget. Later on in the article, Richie points out that plans are underway for the start of a private Christian school in Norwood. Park Ridge Christian School is adding a 9th grade level next year, making it a K-9, a school spokeswoman said. Oakboro town leaders have inquired about starting a charter school in the face of the possible closure of its elementary school. Greystone Day School is actively undergoing a $1.5 million capital fundraising campaign amid the expiration of the creation or addition of a middle school. And between less funding to adequately maintain schools and fewer students in the facilities, which I also have to add, I received information today that apparently there is a Uwari private school that's under consideration for Aquadale as well. But he goes on to say, between less funding to adequately maintain schools and fewer students in the facilities, SCS's challenges are seemingly more dire now than they were 14 months ago. If not through facility closures and consolidation or county commissioners identifying more funding, the school board will be forced to exercise other less desirable options. So many of you are probably aware of the hastily called special meeting for the Board of Education last week that was actually canceled. Is everyone aware of that? A lot of people speculate that they were going to move in that meeting to actually pass Plan B, move forward with school closures and consolidation. So I come to you tonight hopefully asking you to consider doing something, and that is taking this issue off of the table for the new school board that's going to be coming in this fall. Basically, you have two decisions. You have the decision. If you do nothing, if you don't at least commit to finding the additional money that the school board is requesting, they have not requested, but would essentially be requesting. If you don't do that, many of us in the community believe that they're going to take that inaction as an excuse to move forward with the school closures. Another option, your second option, is to actually go ahead and commit to the funding for the next school year. By committing to that funding, what you will be able to do is you are going to give more options to the incoming school board so that they can fix the problem and deal with the issues that are facing the school system. You'll be allowing the current school board and the current administration to deal with those academic programs that they've earmarked as being key to the success of the school system moving forward. But you'll also be allowing the new school board more time to evaluate maybe a more thorough, long-term, positive plan for the county. So option A is to do nothing and watch as I believe the Board of Education next month is going to pass Plan B with school closures and consolidations, which would be incredibly difficult to undo, not impossible, but very difficult. It will also make the job of the incoming school board much harder. Or you can commit to finding that money for this upcoming school year, take the issue off the table. That will allow the superintendent and the current school board to focus on the kids the remainder of this year, and then the new board, when they come in December, can tackle this with all options on the table. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lane Burris.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you hearing me out tonight. My main purpose here tonight is on ethics, and the ethics has to do with part of this board right here. I don't think that I've ever seen any ethics of sitting county commissioners actually going out and trying to get other county commissioners in office. I don't think I've ever seen it, but that's not my main point here tonight. My main point has to do with a sitting officer here right now that his ethics are out the door. I'm telling you, I can't believe this man. And he comes from a good family, I understand. But confront my son for number one, calling him an Elmer Fudd looking, and you can add the rest on there, and then interject himself into a conversation with my wife and tell her to shut up at the end of it. Of course, she told him to shut up right back. All right? Now, I've got a plan of action here. All I'm asking for is for him to personally apologize to my wife. In face, no letter, no phone call. That's not the way I want it. I want her to be apologized to. You don't just do that to a 67-year-old woman standing out there, in my opinion. The ethics are out the door. And I'm just, if that doesn't happen, if he doesn't want to do that, that's fine. But I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask this board to ask him to stand down. He doesn't have to do that. I'm very well of that. You don't either, because he's an elected official. That's fine. I have another plan. I will go to every means of media that I can go to and draw as much attention as I can to this board about some people that are on it and letting the bail bondsman lead them around. And that's all I've got to say. And I will be expecting that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll go through general comments, announcements, and committee reports. Commissioner Shudo.
Yeah, a couple things. I think one reason I voted no on the auditors is basically because we need to look out for our money. I know the current people are doing a really good job, and with the way the election was, there were some mixed signals out there, and we need money for education as well as other things. So I'm just trying to, as I've always been pretty conservative with the dollars, to watch where our money is being spent. What concerns me, the big concern, is that the quarter-cent sales tax to raise money for education has failed again for a second time. And we have a bunch of folks who seem to be liberal with their spending coming in and wanting to waste money on keeping schools open that we no longer need. And then you call it all those things that Mr. Graves talked about from the newspaper. You know, first of all, you can't just keep blaming the school board for people going to different options. The industry of education has changed over the years. I mean, look at the telephone industry. At one time, landlines and payphones ruled. Now landlines and payphones are out of the way because you have different means to communicate with cell phones, computers, all that stuff. Education's the same way. You basically used to have mainly public schools and some private schools to educate the children. Now you have homeschooling, you have charter schools, you have online education, and you have the state giving people money for vouchers to go to private schools. So this has changed. Also, you add into where the demographics is changing, and you know all the things that Mr. Graves read about in the paper, you know, about there's just more opportunities for kids to get their education elsewhere. So all the more reason to consolidate our schools and be very conservative and efficient with the money. So I'm just trying to be as conservative as I've always been to save the taxpayers' money instead of just being liberal with it, just to keep schools open that we don't need, and to not even save money to fix them. We're going to need money to fix the schools if you do keep them open. And then another thing I'd like to do, and I'm going to let Mr. Burleson, Commissioner Burleson, spearhead this if he liked, because during the campaign, he ran some advertisements paid for that was complaining about our wages as county commissioners and our travel and stuff like that. So I'm willing to work with Commissioner Burleson if he wants to lead a task force about our pay and do a comparison. I'm with you on that. I'll work with you to see if we do a comparison with other counties and look at the expenses. because some people have talked to me about that since you ran the advertising, complaining about how much money we're being compensated. So if you want to lead that, I'll be glad to work with you on that to try to bring something to the board just to save money for our budget.
Commissioner Dennis?
Let's get on a high note here. We've been working on a radar up at the airport, God, 4, 5, 6 years. It was military installation. There's been a moving target, but we've finally got all the parts here, and it's up live now. And what it is, it'll give the ability for the commercial and anybody coming into the field will have guidance, put you all the way on the ground in any kind of weather. And we can thank the Air Guard for that. And I think it's up and running now, but they're going to have a ribbon cutting and everything up at the 29th, I think, between 12 and 12:30. But let's end that on a high note. That's something we've been working on a long time and finally got all the parts here.
Yes, it is. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lawhon? Commissioner Louder? Commissioner McIntyre?
No comment.
Commissioner Burleson?
Yes, sir. I guess I'd like to start off this evening by saying, come on up here, Leon. Start off by giving a couple results from the recent election. Candidates that supported community schools here on a local level retained 39,965 votes. Candidates who opposed community schools had 20,239 votes. I think that speaks volumes for the silent majority in Stanley County. I think it's time that we move forward from this issue. This county has been divided on several issues in the recent years, one being the Alcoa issue. Doesn't matter what side you were on. You had families, friends, folks from all over the county who were divided. This community school issue versus consolidation, doesn't matter which side's right, which side's wrong. The point is, it's time for us to move forward and put some politics behind us. We have too many things here in Stanley County that are very valuable. One being our children. And it's time that we move forward in whichever direction we're going to go and not play politics with our children anymore. This election is over. We're moving to the primary, and some folks may not like the results that came out of that election, but they are in the process of being certified. And we will go into the fall. Some folks don't have opponents, some do. But I hope that we can conduct ourselves in a civil manner and bring this county back together for the betterment of everyone. The next item I'd like to discuss is the Center Rural Fire Department in Norwood. Myself, Chairman Eford, and Commissioner Dennis was there for a little while. Sat through a meeting with the State Auditor's Office and Center Rural Board of Directors from Center Rural Fire Department. There has been several things alleged that Center Rural Fire Department has done. All of that is false. There was no substantial information that came out of the audit from the State Auditor's Office that said different. There's some things that they can improve on, but there's nothing that any wrongdoing that has taken place there. So Center Rural Fire Department has been cleared of the allegations that were made against them. And the other item I would like to mention is the National Wild Turkey Federation Banquet is this Friday night. The National Wild Turkey Federation Banquet is a conservation group that raises money to conserve property for folks all across North America to enjoy hunting the wild turkey. And I know for one, when I was growing up, there weren't any wild turkeys here in Stanley County, and about the time I became a teenager, there was a hunting season that was open here in Stanley County, and it's certainly something that has been an economic impact on Stanley County. You got folks out buying stuff in the woods, and it's certainly a good thing for young men and women to be involved in the outdoors. So I certainly will support the NWTF, and I hope other folks will as well. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Andy?
Comments. sir.
Thanks, sir. This weekend, we celebrate the death and resurrection of our Lord Savior. I'd just like to wish everyone out there a happy Easter. You know, a lot of us have off on Friday and some of us have off on Monday, but, you know, don't forget, you know, while we're off and while we celebrate that. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss a personnel issue in accordance with General Statute 143-18-11A6. Got motions. Commissioner Louder, second. Commissioner Dennis. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.